talking to the contracting officers who were doing the buying, was that when they put out a source of salt, people would not come in, they would not respond, so they put out this source of salt saying, hey, is there anybody out there who could do this type of work? And if no one would come in, they would go out for an open, and then people would complain, small businesses would complain and say, hey, why didn't you put this out as a small business set-aside? And the answer would be, because nobody responded to the source of salt notice. We put it out there to see who could do this work and how we were going to proceed with this procurement. So it's important that if you see something that you're interested in, if it's a source of salt, respond, let them know that you're there, because they're not going to know otherwise. And this is their market research. This is how they conduct that. And then another thing would be when I would get the award, one of the most prevalent problems that they would have would be meeting the delivery. So make sure that when you bid on something that you can make it in the time specified, or at least when you are saying how long it would take you to give an accurate date. Because if I give an extension to you, it's going to cost you money. Because it takes some time to write that modification, and also it's going to cost the government time waiting for you to do that work. Or we could, if we need it immediately and you're not going to be able to meet it, then we would send you a cure notice and then a show cause, and then be terminated for default. So just keep in mind that that delivery date is important here. Now what I do now, my favorite thing to do now is work with machine shops, and I don't know if any of you are machine shops, but there is a ton of work out there, absolutely amazing amount, especially with the Defense Logistics Agency. They buy $4 billion worth of parts, and the majority of them are parts that are made from prints. The prints are available to you through a system called DIDS, and I could walk you through that system and tell you how to download the drawings and how to bid. And there's just a tremendous amount of work out there for you.
Keep in mind that she is a local resource available for you all.
For free.
For free. Okay? So as you start getting into this process and getting into federal contracting, she's there. So keep that in mind.
Well, one thing about machine shops too is I found that, like, if you do computer software or web designing, lots of times a lot of that work is in Washington or somewhere. And for machine shops, no matter where you are, you can make that part and ship it out. So, that's why it's my favorite. But we will help you do, no matter what you do, we can help you understand the proposal, help you find something to bid on, understanding the solicitation, the procurement process, help you with billing. So we can do a lot of that stuff with you.
Good. Anybody have any questions for her? I mean, she was in the trenches. Literally and figuratively.
You're more than welcome to come and assist with we don't do metal on anything, but we can sure clean it. What office do you work in?
I work at Southwest Virginia Community College. Actually, I work from my home. Okay, I'm working from home. But
So lunch is at her house today.
So what are you saying in this game?
Tuesday or something. With the procurement.
Okay, if you have a business, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, and actually we just made these because I went. But I have some cards.
Okay.
Judy, thank you.
Yeah.
Anybody else we can?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I feel like you should maybe get out of there.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, they're out there right there by the college. Yeah. Well, but I thought it was more still with your Southwest. You know where you are. You know where you are. You already passed the test.
Now that you've all become best friends with Judy. know, really. My work here is done. I introduced you to Judy. Okay, so, try to get this finished up before lunch.
So you give us the information.
Do you know if we're having lunch by then today?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know what time they're thinking about?
I do not, but I'll go and check here momentarily.
I wouldn't, because Stephanie's in some meeting over here in the
All right.
office down there.
I'll go down to,
Yeah,
talk
it's
to
all,
Kim.
it's all dark.
okay, so Kim's gone out to get lunch.
Is that what's happening? All right, so we talked about cost estimating system before the break, and that was the system used to put in your parametric estimates for things. So basically, you would put in, how long does it take to paint a room, how long does it take to install electrical, and so then you could use those parametric estimates that are in your system to type in what the government requirements are, and it would pump out what the actual estimate would be. It would add all your loads to it, your overhead, your G&A. Another system that the government requires for businesses is a cost accounting system. And basically, it's a system that allows you to capture costs and allocate them correctly. So you want to make sure you collect costs based on projects so that you always have a running total of how much it's costing you to perform this work. So if you think about it from a financial perspective, let's say you do a firm fixed price contract. So you have a list of all the costs that you believe it's going to take you to run that firm fixed piece of business. Now you win. And once you've won it, your company typically requires you to do an outlook. How much money do you think this contract is going to make per month over the life of the contract? And if you're a large business, that becomes really important, particularly if you're traded on the New York Stock Exchange, because when I give my estimates to my CEO, he's using that to figure out what we should be reporting to the street about how our company's doing. So if I've said I'm going to provide $1 million of profit per month over 12 months, and I'm only providing $500,000, that's obviously going to be a big dip, and if other contracts are doing the same thing, we're going to have a much lower number going out to the street than what we anticipated. So what large companies typically require is this forecasting. So I have a budget for what my outlays and incomes are going to be over the next year. And then for every 3 months, I do a detailed analysis of what I think my actual numbers are going to be. And then when it's a moving forecast, so if I did it today for what I think what I'm going to make in April, May, and June, when I get to April, I would do May, June, and July. So I would show actuals for the month of April, and then show May, June, and July. So it's all, and then I get questioned if my numbers are higher or lower because they want to understand what's changing in it. What changed from my perception before, because it could have a longer term effect than just 1 month. So it's this forecasting method. So that's another thing that happens. So there are some, what they call enterprise-wide, enterprise resourcing planning systems that are all encompassing. Anybody working with an ERP? Oracle, or there's a bunch of them out there, but they're a pain in the neck to implement. But the gist of it is that all your, like right now, if you're not using ERP, you're using a lot of different systems to manage your business. So you might have a time card system. You might have a cost system where you're just collecting all your costs. You might have a subcontractor system, how you're dealing with all your subs.
What was ERP again?
Enterprise resource planning. I know I was teaching at, Lockheed, and I swear I taught a class, my very first class there, they talked to me about how they were implementing this ERP system, and I swear 6 years later I was teaching a class and they were still implementing the ERP system. It was a crazy type, because what happens is it has tentacles in every aspect of your business, so you need to get rid of all your old systems and all those. Well, you don't get rid of those first. You get everybody migrated to the new system, but the period of transition when you're on those systems is painful. But once you get everybody onto the ERP, what that gives you is seamless transparency between everything you're doing. You're not putting data into multiple systems, risking data input errors. You're able to make strategic business decisions because all the data is consistent with one another. So basically, your cost accounting system, I'm telling you about ERPs, is your cost accounting system could be part of your ERP system. And that's sort of the best possible world, because when people if they're set up the ERP system, so I'm now working on a Department of Justice contract. It's a firm fixed price. I personally put all my hours into that cost center. Everybody else who's working on the Department of Justice contract puts all their hours in. That same system can be used to generate an acceptance document that we told you in the firm fixed price contract that we were going to provide 40 hours of service from these types of people, and all that was done. So here's the bottom line price to you, federal government. And we have all the supporting time cards that show that we did all that. And then when we submit the invoice, when we get it paid, it comes into the accounts receivable part of the system and shows that this amount of effort that we expended was compensated by the government. And basically, it just tracks everything in a consistent manner. It also allows you to capture direct and indirect costs because, again, you're putting all your costs into this cost accounting system. It allows you to capture fixed and variable costs. You probably have some form of cost accounting system in place now. Can you tell me what you're using? QuickBooks, okay. QuickBooks.
It's not true cost accounting. I mean, we're a small shop, and it's hard to implement when,
Yeah. Anybody else?
Dynamics.
Sorry?
Dynamics.
Okay. Anybody using any of the Deltek products? They're also designed to build. So it can also be part of this integrated system that takes into account everything else. Okay. So this other part of pricing is something called truth in negotiations. So the government, okay, so if you were two commercial buyers, if you were a company and you were selling to another commercial company, you both understand the commercial landscape, you both know who your competitors are, you know how your prices stack up against your competitors. You've got a lot of knowledge. But the government expects to know pretty much what you know when it comes to negotiating, because they don't do commercial business, they do federal business, and they're all about the mission. So they implemented this Truth in Negotiations Act so that you would be compelled to tell them what you know so that they could be more efficient negotiators. That's pretty much the net of this. So the way they do that is they want you to disclose material information they want you to disclose information that's material to you when you're putting your proposal together. So what kind of parametric estimates are you using for your painting projects? That would be an example of what they would expect you to, you say it's going to, you assume it's going to be, $8 per square foot to paint a room. And the government wants to know that and what you include in that. So any information that they consider to be pertinent or material to your bid, they want to know. So for example, if IBM you're the purchasing agent for your company, and IBM, you have your proposal already, it's good to be delivered tomorrow. And IBM takes you out to dinner tonight and says, oh, you know what, we really need to win this business. They're a teaming partner with you. We really need to win this business. We're going to give you a 10% discount on our stuff. You as the individual have to disclose that to the government. So that means you have to take your proposal and redo your pricing because IBM is giving you a 10% discount. They actually do the government could, if the government's, the other thing the government assumes, which is crazy in my book, but they assume this, that if one person in your company knows the information, they assume your entire company knows the information. So we were EDS, okay? We had 150,000 people worldwide. We worked with IBM on projects all over the world, right? And if they gave somebody in our company a 10% discount for the deal that I was working on, they assume that if they gave it to any person in the 150,000 people, that we, EDS, knew it, and we are held liable to this Truth in Negotiations Act. So we would actually tell vendors working on a particular opportunity, the only person you can submit pricing to is Marion. And if you submit it to anybody else, it's not considered valid. You have to submit it to whoever the person is, right? Because what we were trying to do is funnel all pricing information to one person so that we knew the night before, if IBM was giving a discount, then they were giving it to me, and I knew that we had to change our proposal. So this Truth in Negotiation Act, now how the government can actually find out whether you knew, those kinds of situations always exist. I'm here to tell you the ethical way to do it. When you get those kind of discounts, you have to disclose that information to the government by updating your prices. The rule is that you have to provide cost and pricing data. So when there's a requirement for cost and pricing data, so I'll start off by saying, as small businesses, you don't have to do this yet. As large businesses, you have to provide cost and pricing data if it's a contract over $100,000 or if it's any awarded subcontract over $100,000. But you can get a waiver from submitting cost and pricing data. So what are the waivers? One of them, if you're a small business, you don't have to provide it, or if there's full and open competition, you don't have to provide it. But when you do have to provide it, I'm sorry?
Did you say foreign competition?
No, I said if you're a small business, you don't have to provide it, or if there's full and open competition, meaning any company can do that. You have to provide the cost and pricing data that's current, accurate, and complete as of time of submission. So when you submit your price proposal, you have to give them a certified cost and pricing data with a statement that says, all this data that I'm providing to you is current, accurate, and complete. If not, basically I'm committing fraud to the government. So that's how serious they take this. Sometimes they also, so that's what certified cost and pricing data is. There's also something called other than certified cost and pricing data, which is the government's way of getting around you telling them, hey, I'm taking exception to certified cost and pricing data. So the other than certified cost and pricing data means you don't have to certify it that it's current, accurate, and complete, but they're trying to glean information from you so that they can negotiate with you in a more advantageous way to the government, meaning that they have the same information we do. Everybody with me on that? Okay, here's that contractor purchasing system review that I was telling you about. So currently it's a large business requirement, but again, on contracts like HCATS, they put it on small businesses, and if you had it, you would have gotten extra points. So the government conducts CPSR to verify that you're conducting your procurements in a fair and reasonable manner, and that you're open to vendors, and you're not giving your brother all the business. It requires you to run a solicitation for products and services, and that's what we talked about today. With you develop the RFP, with the flow-down clauses, you solicit at least 3 or 4 vendors to show that you've done full and open competition. You don't allow your technical team to conduct sole source procurement unless you want to risk an audit. So here's your, let's say this is your contracts person sending out the RFP, and they've got the requirements in from the technical team, but the technical team knows my buddy over here can do this work, I want to make sure he gets it, so I'm going to write the requirements just for him. That's considered, that puts you at extreme risk for an audit because the government doesn't want you to do that. They want you to put together what the actual requirements are from the government RFP and be fair and open to all bidders who put something in. And so the only time the government doesn't require that is if there's only one company out there who can actually do the work. So let's say you're a really, really, really specialized company that does this thing, and you're the only one that does it. The government has no problem saying that's a sole source, that we're going to sole source it to you. Or because you're, I'm sorry, single source. You're the only company out there that can do it. But when you start